For more on this, California Talk Radio host Ethanbearman and Stanford University research fellow Lanheechen. Thanks for being with us. So we've got the situation, the temporary travel ban is in court before the judges, but we've also heard from the Secretary of Homeland Security, John Kelly. He was before Congress on Tuesday. He took responsibility for some of the confusion and some of the problems caused by this executive order.
In retrospect, I should have, this is all on me, by the way, I should have delayed it just a bit so that I could talk to members of Congress, particularly the leadership of committees like this, to prepare them for what was coming. We did have to step back and kind of recock that in that first 24-hour period because of action by one of the federal courts.
Ethan, at least someone within the Trump administration is willing to admit, at the very least, the rollout of the order wasn't especially great.
Yeah, Secretary Kelly did a great job as a good general. He fell on the sword for the Trump administration that rolled this out without proper planning, without proper communication. Wasn't a well thought out executive order. I mean, this is why it's being hung up in the Ninth Circuit right now. Everything about this is wrong. Congratulations to Secretary Kelly for doing what was right. Now, if only President Trump would follow that old mantra of the buck stops here.
Lani, is General Kelly essentially taking the blame for the rest of the administration for the president?
Yeah, look, I think General Kelly is articulating something that a lot of people have said, which is that the process in which this executive order was rolled out was problematic. It was problematic because it wasn't vetted by the proper individuals, including General Kelly, and it didn't get buy-in, frankly, from a lot of folks that it probably should have gotten buy-in from. Those are process arguments. I think General Kelly did the thing that you expect people in his position to do. He did the right thing today. The broader issue, though, is that General Kelly is still agreeing with the substance of the order, and I think that that's going to be important going forward, that the administration speak in a unified voice regarding what the order was trying to accomplish.
We also have this ongoing issue with the president who, it appears, continues to make false and misleading statements like this one.
The murder rate in our country is the highest it's been in 47 years, right? Did you know that? 47 years. I used to use that. I'd say that in a speech and everybody was surprised because the press doesn't tell it like it is. It wasn't to their advantage to say that. But the murder rate is the highest it's been in, I guess, from 45 to 47 years.
And Ethan, what then happens usually? The president will say something that is inaccurate or misleading or false, and then everyone in the administration seems to try to essentially twist the facts to make them fit what the president had said instead of correcting the record.
Yeah, I mean, this is just, it's shocking. We're 2 weeks into his administration, and we just get lie after lie after lie. Remember, he also said in an interview only 109 people got held up because of the travel ban, which then later the same day, the DHS said it was 721, and then we find out in the court that it's 100,000. You know, the murder rate, Donald Trump was around in the 1970s when we had our peak in the murder rate. We are significantly lower than it was. Of course, we need it even lower than it is now. This guy is winging it as president of the United States of America. His people like Kellyanne Conway and Sean Spicer come out and try and cover for him. This is shameful and it's wrong. And to attack the media makes it even worse in terms of what this is doing for his presidency and to the American people, for that matter.
In the interest of clarity, that number was revised down to 60,000. Still a very high number, but not 100,000. But the point is taken. Lanhi, though, this does seem to be fairly unique to this administration when it comes to, these misleading or false statements which come out day after day.
John, I'm not sure it is unique to this administration. I think that's part of the reason why Americans, frankly, have become so disillusioned with politics. You go back to the last administration, there was President Obama saying, with respect to the Affordable Care Act, if you like your plan, you can keep it. People were going to see $2,500 reductions in their premiums per month on health care. Those ended up to be untruths as well. Not to excuse the behavior of saying things that are untrue, merely to say that in politics, in some ways, we've become used to this, and it's unfortunate. Now, with respect to the media, I think it's also fair to say that in many situations, people don't trust the media, frankly. And I think that has contributed to the kind of dialogue and, frankly, some of the strategies that the administration has pursued in their engagement with the media thus far.
There was also the claim by the president on Monday that the media has its own agenda. It's deliberately not reporting terror attacks, which is not true. Here's another exchange between Jake Tapper and Kellyanne Conway.
He was saying the media does not cover these stories because we don't want to cover them because we have some sort of agenda. That's what he was suggesting, and it's offensive given the fact that CNN and other media organizations have reporters in danger right now in war zones covering ISIS. And I just don't understand how the president can make an attack like that.
There's no question about that. Well, first of all, I want to tell you, I don't intend it as spin. I'm crediting the coverage that CNN and your colleagues across the media gave to these high-profile and high-casualty, very sad, very vicious attacks.
They're on the list of undercovered attacks.
As were dozens and dozens of others. But I do know what the president's point was because I've discussed it with him directly.
Her point was that the president wanted to highlight that many attacks go sort of underreported. He wanted to bring attention to that. But also during the interview, Conway offered this defense of the president. Listen to this.
Are they more important than the many things that he says that are true, that are making a difference in people's lives?
So in other words, you know, are his falsehoods more important than the stuff that he says is true or the stuff that he's actually doing for the American people? Ethan, is it more sort of startling that Conway admitted the president is making false statements, or that she said it essentially doesn't matter?
Well, she's saying it doesn't matter. He can lie all he wants because as long as he's feeding red meat to his base, yeah, get those foreigners out of here. Let's make the others bad. Let's follow in the steps of President Erdogan in Turkey right now, cracking down on the media, or President Putin in Russia, who does those same things. Is that really what we want the United States to be? Is like that, where we remove the media, which is explicitly protected in our First Amendment? And by the way, I just have to throw in, let's start calling him Saint Jake Tapper for maintaining his calm in that interview. Kellyanne Conway has the hardest job on earth right now to know that President Trump is making lie after lie after lie, just openly in public, and then she has to cover for him. I feel bad for Kellyanne right now.
I mean, Lani, do you get a sense that there is a higher turnover of falsehoods, or we're constantly fact-checking this administration to try and find out exactly what the truth is?
Well, I think there's a couple things. First of all, John, I think there's carryover from the campaign, the way the campaign was waged, how divisive it was, the relationship that the media had with the Trump campaign, I don't think was particularly strong. And so I think some of those things are carrying over. I think it's the case that some in the media see it as their task and their job to hold the administration accountable. I think that's the nature of the First Amendment. That's the nature of our democracy. And I think people in the media should continue to do their job in that respect. But again, it comes back to the perception of the media amongst many Americans. Certainly many people who supported Donald Trump don't have a particularly positive impression of the media. And I think this is all part of a strategic effort to emphasize how the president is not satisfied with the status quo. He's going to do what he needs to do to get his message out there.
Okay, well, there was a stunning moment on the floor of the U.S. Senate just a few hours ago. Elizabeth Warren, she was speaking out against the nomination of Jeff Sessions for Attorney General. She was reading from a 1986 letter which was written by the widow of Martin Luther King Jr. It was written in opposition to Sessions' nomination as a federal judge. That's when the Republican-controlled Senate voted that she'd violated the rules of debate, impugning the reputation of another senator. She is now forbidden to speak for the rest of the debate, probably sometime on Wednesday. Senator Warren spoke to CNN a short time ago.
They can shut me up, but they can't change the truth. What Coretta Scott King talked about Jeff Sessions doing back in 1986 is something every American should know about.
Ethan, this was an incredible moment which will draw more attention to Jeff Sessions and his civil rights record, won't it?
Yeah, it should. And by the way, what an insane move on the part of the Republicans in the Senate. You have a senator that is up for confirmation to be Attorney General. Of course they're going to have to speak their minds about him. This was an abuse of power by the Senate Republicans. And on top of it all, reading a letter from Coretta Scott King violated Senate rules. For shame on the Republicans. This is wrong on every level, and I say congratulations to Senator Warren for bringing it up, and I hope she continues to speak out on this topic.
Yeah, Lonnie, was this a bad tactical move by the Republicans and the Senate leader Mitch McConnell? The chamber's almost empty. You know, they're holding this speakathon 24-hour sessions. Why pick a fight when the confirmation of Jeff Sessions is pretty much a done deal anyway?
Well, I think part of it was to try to return a little bit of decorum, frankly, to the Senate floor. It wasn't for reading the letter that Senator Warren was cited. It's called Rule 19, that she was cited for violating the rule that prevents you from impugning another senator. It was all of her other, frankly, personal attacks against Jeff Sessions. She had every right, of course, to express her point of view, and I think she did so. But what Senator McConnell was doing was basically saying enough is enough. And
he's a nominee. He's a nominee, though. He is not just a sitting senator. He is a nominee. She has to be able to speak about the nominee for Attorney General. This was abuse of power by the Republicans bringing up Rule 19.
Senator Sessions, and that's why she was censored in the way that she was. It's totally within the prudential responsibility of the leader of the Senate, Mitch McConnell, to do what he did, and I think he did the right thing tonight.
Then apparently you can't nominate senaters for cabinet positions.
It has nothing to do with
you can't speak openly about them, then you can't nominate them anymore.
Okay. Have we got time for one more? I think one more. Very quickly, Mitch McConnell, on the Senate floor, he said this to Elizabeth Warren. She was warned, she was given an explanation. Nevertheless, she persisted. Lanheechen, some of the comments on social media about that have been scathing.
Oh, and I get that. You know, I think people want to take Senator Warren's side. That's fine. But I think Senator McConnell did what he thought was necessary in terms of restoring order on the Senate floor. And every Senate Majority Leader has the opportunity to do that. Senator Reid used his power in the same way when he was Senate Majority Leader. So, look, this is just part of the process. Unfortunately, it's gotten quite nasty. If the Senate Democrats did not pursue a historic stonewalling of President Trump's nominees, we wouldn't be here.
Okay, final word to Lanheechen. Thanks for being with us, Lanheechen and Ethanbearman. Really appreciate it. Thank you.